across Amak, Abaji, Wari, Gwaggalada, Kuje, and Kwali. Remember, no PVC, no voting. Check your registration status now and know your polling unit. This is our city. Let's get the facts right.
Hello, welcome to the program, The Issues with Topsy Gimba. The Issues is a program that comes to you on ASO Television, where you watch and then join us in most of the discussions that will be held in that program. I consider today's edition to be one of these ones that you will enjoy watching because we are looking at health issues. Of course, in Nigeria, health is one of these challenges that the country struggles to handle. And people by the day suffer with immense ailments that they find themselves not being able to resolve them. At the end of the day, they die. And of course, this administration is doing so much to see how best that particular sector could be managed and then we tackle some of these tropical diseases that we have around us that could be easily eliminated. And it is on that note that we decided to invite experts who know basically what they do within that sector to further explain the area of their specializations, and they tell us basically what can be done. Whatever they say appears to be authoritative because government might likely use some of the opinions they have in reshaping the sector. With me in the studio, live and direct, a most respected doctor and the tropical diseases, and no any other person than Dr. Makata Chukwu Emeka. He is the program manager, National Onchocerciasis Elimination Program we have in the country, alongside Director Uma Amabong, who is the program manager in that area, Onco. Today, they are going to tell us basically what that means. Even by struggling to call the name, you know how deadly that disease could be. But in my own primary understanding, it could be something that is has to do with the water we're doing that causes river blindness or anything like that. Doctor, we are really taking you unawares. Let me yield the microphone to you so that you tell the people basically what that onchocerciasis is all about.
Thank you, Gimba.
I struggle to call the name.
Thank you, Gimba. You are not alone. A lot of people struggle to call the name, but if you do it more often, I'm sure you'll be able to call it fluently like like us.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad to be here, and I say good morning to Nigerians who are watching this program. My name, as you said, is Dr. Chukwu Emeka Makata, and I'm the program manager of the National Onchocerciasis Elimination Program from the Department of Public Health, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. Onchocerciasis is a disease that is endemic or present in the country. It affects people in Nigeria. And it's also called river blindness.
River blindness?
Yes. It is called river blindness because it is commonly found, the vector that transmits these diseases to people breed around fast-flowing, well-oxygenated river.
Okay.
And people who are living very close to rivers are most prone to, getting infected by the agents that cause this disease. It is part of, a bucket of disease that we call neglected tropical diseases. And the term neglected tropical disease has a long history dating back to the 1970s when it was coined, and up till the 2012 when there was a London Declaration to eliminate neglected tropical diseases. So those diseases are diseases which affect over 1 billion people around the world, but attention has not been paid to it sufficiently like it's paid to other diseases such as malaria, such as is focused on 16. And these 16 diseases are broadly classified into two parts. One is called the preventive chemotherapy, neglected tropical diseases, which are the ones that we can give people a drug in order to kill the vectors that are, or rather, the parasites that are causing these diseases so that they are not transmitted to other persons. Within that group, you have the lymphatic filariasis, the onchocerciasis, which I manage the program, the trachoma, which is also a disease that causes blindness, as well as the schistosomiasis and soil-transmitted helminths, which are worms. So these are diseases, and they are quite endemic across the tropical countries. They are common among people who are living in resource-limited areas where you don't have good access to good homes and access to water. Poverty actually drives the disease, and that's why it is found very much in Nigeria. For onchocerciasis, if I should speak about that specifically, out of the 774 local government areas in Nigeria, we have tried to follow the protocols for trying to determine where these diseases are, which we call mapping, and we have mapped the 774 local government areas. And out of that, we have come to discover that about 481 local government areas in Nigeria, onchocerciasis is endemic in 481 local government area. So Nigeria has paid quite attention dating back to the 80s. In fact, the program to control onchocerciasis in Nigeria was launched in 1982, but it became functional in 1987. So within that period, we have followed a strategy that is called mass administration of medicine, whereby we provide drugs and use people that are community-based. We work with the leadership of the communities to select the people who know the communities well, to be able to take drugs, to people that are living at the risk of these diseases and treat them. It is done once annually or twice annually or 3 times annually, depending on the risk and the endemicity of the disease within those places. So we have done that consistently from 1987 till date. I must tell you that within that framework of time, we have had remarkable progress, and a lot of our people have been removed out of the risk for the diseases. Now, this treatment is a whole lot of money which is spent, but luckily we have some international organizations like the Mectizan Donation Group, who have made a commitment that they will continue to donate the drugs needed for this treatment for as long as it takes. For as much as it is wanted, they will keep giving us this drug free. So at the end of every year after program implementation, at the end of the year, we assess and audit what we have done, and we make projection for the number of drugs that we will use in the coming year. And all we need to do is to submit it through WHO to the Mectizan Donation Group, and they package the drug and they are sending it into the country for us to use to treat people in the country. So it's a massive operation, and we crisscross the net of the countries. Wherever we think there's endemicity of the disease, we crisscross the country to be able to go and give this drug. And our people have been diligently taking this drug, and that is why we are seeing that we are turning a bit of corner, because the risk for the disease is coming down in the country.
Dr. Chukwuemeka, why was it considered neglected diseases, tropical diseases? Why? Is it for the fact that it doesn't kill as quickly as possible? Or probably because it appears to be a disease meant for the poor, and so the eyes of the rich have been taken off from that particular area, and then people are allowed to suffer. Some die as a result of that, until with this new initiative you're coming up with.
That's a very good question. As you said, I think I'll dwell more on the second part of what you suspect might be the reason why we call it neglected tropical disease.
Yeah.
And like I said, it goes back, the history goes back to sometimes around 1970, when a gentleman that worked with the Rockefeller Foundation, is late now, Kenneth Warren, called them the great neglected diseases of the world. And he called them the great neglected diseases of the world because, just like you said, the attention of people and also the community of donors that bring money to support the implementation of programs aimed at controlling this disease. We are not much on these diseases, even though it's affecting about 1 billion people. And why are the attention extension of the people not there, because as you rightly pointed out, and as I said when I was trying to describe the diseases, I said they are usually found amongst the less privileged and the communities that are lacking resources. So, but the funny thing, or maybe one other thing that drives that, is that the disease has a very, very benign and insidious course. Which, what I mean is that the disease runs a very slow course, and sometimes you may not know, in most cases you may not know that you are even having this disease in your body until it gets to the point where it causes the complications. In the case of onchocerciasis, it causes blindness. And because the eye is not a part of the body that you say you are going to replace, once it gets to the point where it is causing that blindness, it becomes irreversible, and the person becomes blind. So the disease has, so many facets of our lives are affected, apart from our normal physiology, which begins to suffer or work in a non-healthy situation. It also impacts families, and also impacts the country, because for instance, if a man gets blind in the family, especially within the communities where these diseases are found, farmers, and a man who goes to farm to feed his family gets blind, the implication is that he is going to stop going to farm, and he will be unable to take care of himself. And for him to be able to do the normal activities of daily living, probably a child would have to drop from school to be able to lead the person around. He is unable to feed the family, and the child drops out of school, and that begins to extend the line of poverty. At the end of the day, you find a situation where these people grow up and may not find any meaningful to do, and the next thing is that they may resort to crime to begin to be able to survive. Because once a man is hungry, you have to look for something to eat. So it has a very, very wider dimension. And it's estimated that about $1.7 billion is spent annually around the world for the treatment of neglected tropical diseases.
Doctor, what are the signs that a person will begin to see? Because these are things that our people who are living in rural areas, constantly use this water by the site.
Yes.
Whenever they are involved in farming, and maybe, of course you know it, that he has to drink from the source of the water, he finds it or she finds it.
Yes.
Meanwhile, there are a lot of implications for doing what he's doing until he becomes or she becomes what you are saying, like the way we're talking about today on this program.
Yeah,
the science.
Fortunately, this disease is not transmitted by drinking of water. Like I said, it's just like mosquitoes that transmit malaria.
Yeah.
They bite somebody who is infected, and when they land on another person to bite the person, they deposit the parasite into the person, and that's how the infection keeps on going on. So when I am carrying the parasite, and black fly, which is the vector that transmits onchocerciasis, if it bites me, because of the blood meal, it can take the parasite and take it to another person. Now, because it is this...
Is it by drinking or some other, other natural forces?
By the bite of black fly. Yes.
Okay.
Those flies...
But they breed very close to where water is.
They breed right inside the water.
Fine.
Yeah. So when they breed...
Not by drinking the water.
Not by drinking the water for onchocerciasis. Even the schisto STH.
Is it that you didn't come with either a symbol or icon of this fly for displays it here for...
all right. I believe we will have another opportunity.
Yes.
We can,
because we grew up hearing about this river blindness.
Yes.
Most times we are assuming that drinking bad water will lead to blindness. We never knew, like the way you are saying it today, that it causes by bite of a fly.
Yes. If you watch farmers, local farmers, the normal thing, they used to go to the farm with something like something like what do I call some whip.
Yeah, to
be driving flies.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's those things that come to perch on them and bite them when they are farming.
That they will cause what?
That will transmit the vector, deposit the vector inside their body. And once it is even better in Nigeria in some instances, because you go to some countries in Africa, and we find out that in the whole family, maybe 4 persons are blind in the family, because of how rampant and how effective the black fly is in transmitting the vectors that causes blindness. So it has been a huge problem. About 31 countries in Africa, are endemic for onchocerciasis.
Yeah. 31 countries.
31 countries.
And Nigeria is one.
And Nigeria, in fact, Nigeria used to have the highest burden of onchocerciasis in Africa until recently, when I think it was Guinea-Bissau or something that became, because of the volume of work that we have done in Nigeria, we have been able to reduce the endemicity. So now we are the second in the world in terms of endemicity, and it's also like that because of the population of the country. And there are over 14,000 kilometers of rivers in the country, crisscrossing the country. And once there is a river that is fast flowing and well oxygenated, it creates a room for black flies to be able to propagate and be able to bite somebody. Take this.
Okay, in places, Nigeria has 2 regions.
Yes.
The south and the north.
Yes.
And it is presumably believed that in the south, we have more water.
Yes.
The creeks are there.
Yes.
It's likely to, the people who live around those areas are likely to fall to that problem you're talking about.
Yes.
But again, in the north, it's completely like a desert. It's only from given places where you see oases of water, that they use. But again, when you not take stock of the number of people that are blind, they are high in number. Can that be attributed to that, or just a natural cause?
Yeah, surprisingly, you still have a substantial, volume of rivers, number of rivers in the northern parts of the country.
Yes.
And if we should,
but not like the way comparable to the south. If we should begin to drill down to the science of it, it's actually been determined that the species of the parasite that leads to, because there are different species of the onchocerciasis parasite. The species that causes blindness, that is more aggressive, is found more commonly in the north than in the south, even though there are more water bodies in the south. But if you go to the south, for instance, you see that there are water bodies that don't sustain the breeding of black fly. For instance, if you go to Rivers State, if you go to Port Harcourt, you go to Akwa Ibom, you go to Lagos State, for instance. The source of this water, are they treated? Or
those water bodies are very large water bodies that are sea waters, oceans. Because of the salt content of that, they do not support the breeding of onchocerciasis black fly. So in those places where you have even massive body of water, there are the places that onchocerciasis is not as endemic as in places where you have fewer bodies of water, but you have little bodies of streams and rivers that can run and they are clear, and people can contain more oxygen that can lead to breeding of black fly. But recently also I would need to point out that the work we have been doing recently has shown that the number of black flies, even in the northern part of the country, is decreasing significantly. A lot of people are attributing that to the climate change, and like you said, some of these water bodies dry up, and once they are not there, the black fly will not find any place to breed. So we are having some kind of natural control in the north because the climate change is reducing the places that these black flies can breed. And if you also notice, some of us that grew up back in the 80s, you will notice that the number of people that will usually come to vehicles to beg for money because of blindness, and children leading people who are blind, are reducing in number. And that is also attributable to the volume of work that has been done, the number of rounds of drugs that has been distributed. Because what the drug does is that it kills the parasite that can be taken from one person to the other. So once it kills it and the black fly bites somebody, it cannot take the parasite to go and deposit into another person. Thus, with the drug treatment, we are breaking the chain of transmission of onchocerciasis. And that's what we have done. And that is what is done in other programs. You have as we are asking of the symptom, and I told you that the signs and symptoms, the disease usually runs a very quiet course. You only begin to notice, like onchocerciasis, when the person begins to manifest. You begin to have difficulty in seeing when the person gets blind. Other things that you can see in people is that sometimes you can see swelling on their body. Because when the parasite goes into the body and it is going under the skin, and it gets to die under the skin, there's some swelling at the body. And also there will be some depigmentation or patches of discoloration of the skin that you can see on the body of somebody who has onchocerciasis parasite. But those are long-term presentation. By the time they are getting to that point, they are beginning to get to the point where they can cause blindness. Onchocerciasis also causes severe itching. And you can see people itching so much that they will even get milk, tins of milk, cut off the tip to have a sharp edge to be able
scratching.
to. Yeah. So you have the skin that is very much itchy, damaged to a point. So it manifests on the skin, and the ultimate manifestation is the blindness, which it causes and is able to stop people from being able to walk, being able to feed themselves, and discomfort. In trachoma, you also have issues like the turning of the eyelid inside. Chlamydia causes trachoma, and the eyelids will start to turn inside. So you have these eyelids rubbing on the surface of the eye and causes a hell lot of discomfort. As it continues to do that, it ultimately leads to blindness. So that's why the approach to treating trachoma or trying to control or eliminate trachoma is also based on what we call wash. People are encouraged to wash their faces regularly and also to take the drugs, which are also donated. And worst case scenario is when you do surgery for victims of the disease, so that you can be able to correct the effect.
Yeah. Can you estimate the number of people, the death rate of as a result of that in Nigeria? Just
yeah, like as we say, mostly neglected tropical diseases hardly lead to death.
Okay.
What they do
has an effect on social welfare.
Yes. What they do is they incapacitate you. Mostly trachoma might lead to except in issues like schistosomiasis, which happens when people are infected and they begin to pass blood in their urine. Okay. Right? So if somebody goes to pee, for instance, and you begin to see blood
coming out
in the urine, those ones can over time not directly kill the person, but can over time lead to a transformation from that schistosomiasis issues to other more serious disease that can lead to death. Okay. And you still have what can lead to what we call female genital schistosomiasis that affects the capacity of women. You know, their reproductive health are being affected by schistosomiasis. Then the common one, which everybody, goes to the street and say, I want to buy drugs for worm to deworm my children. The helminths, they are there. They causes malnutrition in children, and people cannot grow. There's stunted growth, and all that malnutrition can ultimately lead to death. But hardly do you see onchocerciasis because it's not an acute illness, and that's part of the reason why the attention is not there. But if you look at the toll it takes in ability of people to be able to live, to fend for themselves, and to be able to contribute meaningfully to the society, you see that it's a very huge menace. So treating neglected tropical diseases is not just an issue of treating people to make them get well. You're also making them fit to be, upstanding members of the society who can be able to take care of themselves and take care of the people around them. And when you do this, you are building a nation. And you are building a nation, and everybody is working and contributing
in your own mapping, in your own analysis that you went out to carry out a survey to identify in these 774 local governments.
Yes.
Now you finally brought that to be 481 highly endemic local government in Nigeria.
Yes.
Which one is the highest, and in which state?
At the moment, we used to say Taraba State was the highest for onchocerciasis in the country. But like I also said, because so much has been done, and what we do is that when we treat for like 12 to 15 years of constant treatment every year,
okay,
and also eliminated them completely in 2 states, which is in Plateau and Nasarawa State.
Okay.
So for endemicity,
and do you know that Nasarawa gets to Abuja here?
yes, Abuja is also endemic.
Most people that are living there. Are you saying go to Malaba?
Abuja.
Are you saying go to Malaba?
Abuja is not even those in Malaba, because Abuja itself is also endemic for onchocerciasis, okay, and even for schistosomiasis. And that's why we say it's widespread. So for onchocerciasis, these 481 local governments I'm telling you about are spread across 32 states of the Federation,
okay,
as well as the Federal Capital Territory. Yes.
Wow.
So you find that, and you see that all the neglected tropical diseases, you discover that the 774 local government area is endemic from 1 or 2 neglected tropical disease.
Yes.
So you may have even 3 that are present in one local government area, but you may have a local government area where lymphatic filariasis is there, but onchocerciasis is not there.
Okay.
But the 774 local government areas in Nigeria, all of them have one onchocerciasis, one NTD.
If I could hear you correctly, as if you said these drugs,
yes,
that you give to the patients,
yes,
are mostly coming from WHO.
Yes. So Mektizan Donation Group.
Mektizan Donation Group.
Yes.
They supply.
Yes.
And then you distribute.
We distribute.
So, okay, what's the policy of the federal government in making sure that this problem, to a certain extent, is reduced? The Nigerian government.
To making sure that
I'm going back to policy now.
The neglected tropical disease or the drugs.
Either on that particular, on the disease itself,
yeah, and
what role are they playing to see that?
I'm a staff of the federal government.
I know.
And I manage the program on behalf of the federal government and the leadership of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare.
Yes.
So what has happened is that all these diseases have national programs for control or elimination. Mine is National Onchocerciasis Elimination Program. What we do every day is to go, set policies and work with the subnational government, including the state and the local government. Yeah. So we go from time to time. Apart from the federal government takes receipt of these drugs when they are shipped into the country, and it is taken to the Central Medical Store, Oshodi. And from that place, based on the quantification of what the needs of the states are, they are distributed to the states. Now, these drugs are distributed heavily with the support of partners. We have about 10 partners that are supporting the onchocerciasis and NTD elimination in Nigeria. I don't know if you have heard of the site savers. They are based in Abuja here. There's the Kata Center. There's the Christian Blind Mission. Okay. You have the Mitosat Mission to save the helpless. You have the MN Health Foundation. You have the one we call HANDS, health and those support programs. You also have the Evidence Action, and you have a whole lot of them. So what these people do is they actually support the federal government to be able to ensure that we implement. They provide both technical and the funding support, and the government has worked setting out the policies and how these programs should be implemented.
Okay.
So that's what the government is driving, the policies, making sure that the implementation is there, and also supporting the implementation with the provision of resources and all that. So,
listening to you, yeah, I feel so excited. Can that till today be considered to be neglected tropical disease, looking at the way you are doing? Or it has changed the nomenclature?
No, it's still neglected because the reason why we say that is, of course, you know that like most countries of the world, Nigeria also has its own economic challenges, and the needs are so much that the government alone cannot take responsibility for doing all these things at the same time. So to that extent, we still depend somehow with the support of partners to be able to implement these programs. And recently, for instance, you see what has been happening in the public health world, especially with the change in policies of the United States, where they fund funding to support public health activities around the world has been dropped. Other nations, America made it very loud, but other nations have also been cutting down the budgets they have to support struggling and developing countries.
And I hope it has not affected you.
Well, it has affected us. But we, with the support of partners, we have also been pushing the partner as well as the government. And the government is making every effort, especially in the recent budgeting cycles, to be able to ensure that those gaps that are existing in our field, aside from what the government is bringing for the implementation of this program. So we are still neglected because the job is still much.
It's ongoing.
Yeah, it's still ongoing. Lymphatic filariasis.
Because they will change the name. And you because they will change the name neglected.
We don't hope to change the name actually. We hope to stop the name actually.
Completely.
That's why we are working to eliminate diseases. And we are hoping that someday we are going to
So you have to score yourself so that we don't really see is that the thing is neglected truly. If you have to score yourself, the level of your achievement.
Well, the level of achievement for onchocerciasis, for instance, I told you that 481 local governments were said to be endemic. We have stopped treatment in 206 local governments.
And those 480?
Out of 481, we have stopped treatment.
In the whole of their states?
Yes.
Those states?
Yes. Whatever is endemic in the local government, we have stopped in more than about 206 local governments. I will leave you to do the mathematics.
Let me
see, like in lymphatic filariasis, for instance, you have 583 local governments. They have also stopped treatment in 463 local governments. So they have also made progress. Schistosomiasis and all that have also been able to reduce the number of people. Like 119 people have stopped taking treatment. 19 million people.
19 million.
119 million people have stopped taking treatment for lymphatic filariasis. About 59 million people have also stopped taking treatment for.
They are off from the problem.
Off from the disease and removed from the risk. In trachoma, there used to be about 45 million at-risk population, but now they are below 5 million that are the risk.
Do you have your offices in those areas, in those states?
Yes, we have offices. For instance, we have zonal offices where you have the staff of the federal ministry residing in the zone and being able to monitor the states in the zone. But we also work directly because each state has their own NTD program. So they work closely with the national program to be able to shape the policies and the strategies for the implementation of the elimination of these diseases. And they are also, we also provide technical support to the states. So the implementation is actually in two phases. The government of the federal government makes the policies and they evaluate the level of implementation of the state. But partners work with the state to be able to ensure that these strategies are implemented. So our role is restricted to evaluating whether the proper things have been done and also making sure that the progress is monitored. And also taking the information which comes from this implementation at the end of the year to be able to present to WHO to say, look, this is what we have achieved, this is what we still need in terms of the drugs, and also they look at us to see if we have actually followed strictly the strategies and make sure that we implement the program the way it is globally designed.
Those people that supply these drugs to you, do they equally come into the country and assess how best the program is being carried out? Of
course they do. In onchocerciasis, we have the annual, everything we have biannually, which is the National Onchocerciasis Elimination Committee. It's headed by experts from the academia, as well as from partners and also the staff of the ministry. So what happens is that during this meeting, they will come, we will present our report, and also the partners, the report goes back to them at the end of last year, at the later part of last year, because UNICEF is actually the consignee for our drug. The drug is donated in the United States of America, received by UNICEF USA shipped it to the country, and it is UNICEF in Nigeria that supports the logistics and the clearing of disease. As of December last year, sometime, the UNICEF team visited Nigeria, and they went around the country, went to Osun State to be able to see how these programs are implemented. Yeah. So they come from time to time to see what we are doing, take stock of what we are doing to make sure that the drugs that are given to us are used judiciously, because it takes a lot of money to actually get this drug, and the commitment is there to continue to give us this drug for as long as we need it, and as much as we need it. They will keep on giving us the drug until we are able to eliminate these diseases.
Okay, we are just starting the year 2026,
yes.
January, of course.
Yes.
What are your programs?
Yes, the programs remain the same.
Okay.
Depending on the level of progress we have made in different states. In places where we haven't reached, because there are a number of years that we are supposed to treat for these diseases. And the places that have not gotten to the number of years that have been treated will continue treatment, which we call mass administration of medicine. We continue to follow that strategy. The places where we have achieved the required number of rounds, we call them effective therapeutic rounds. And they are effective if we are able to treat, for onchocerciasis, we are able to treat a minimum of 80% of the population that are living there. Yes. And also have 100% geographical coverage, which means that all the places around the place that are endemic, you make sure that people are treated there. So when we do that and we achieve that degree of treatment, the next stage of activity is for us to come and do evaluation, where we come to take blood samples from people who are living at risk. Usually between children between the age of 5 and 9. We take their samples and analyze them to make sure that there is no new infection. The idea of taking samples from people who are aged between 5 and 9 is that it is assumed that when treatment started that these people have not been born. So if they are having the disease, they can only have gotten the disease from people who are a lot older than them. So every infection you find in a younger person is a new infection, and which means that the older people still have a reservoir of the disease. So we do that, and once we are able to get to that threshold, we must have less than 0.1% of endemicity of the disease. Any place will come to take samples to test people. When we do that and we get that number, we know that the threshold has been reached for us to stop treatment. Okay. Then we go to the stage of trying to also catch the black flies, the vectors that transmit this disease,
yes, to
make sure that they don't have the parasites in them.
And then I was to ask you, if I were to be suffering from this onco, whatever name is,
yes,
the drugs I'm taking,
yes,
how long will I be taking the drug at the point of discovery?
Yes.
One's life.
Yes, because we know that the parasites, the adult parasites that cause this disease have a lifespan of about 12 to 15 years.
Wow.
Even if untreated, they will live in a human body for 12 to 15 years.
Struggling with it.
Struggling with it. So what we do is a strategy of treating people once a year for 12 to 15 years is to actually to ensure that we stop the adult parasites from being able to produce the microfilarias, which are the ones that can be transmitted to another person. So once we find somebody who is positive, who is said to show, because even when you take blood sample, that's not where it ends, because it's an antibody kind of test, and that means that when you test somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is positive. It may just mean that the person has been positive at the point in time and the parasite is not there. Okay. So the way we find somebody who is positive, we subject the person to another level of test.
Yes.
Where we take a piece of the skin to see if there's the actual microfilaria inside the system. But when we do, when we do, we make sure that we keep treating this person for as long as we can. We project that we can be giving this person drugs for the next 12 to 15 years.
Wow.
As much as...
Just briefly, sir, are there challenges in doing this? What are the challenges that you need them to be corrected? Just briefly, because we run off the program in a very short while now.
Yeah, there are challenges. The number one challenge in every program is still the funding, which we keep advocating to both our partners and also asking the government to realize things are difficult, but government is the father. So, and we are also in government, so we keep on bringing it to the attention of the leadership to say that things are required to do, and they are listening. The other thing is that insecurity has been a challenge because this implementation is difficult to assess the village, and also the cost of being able to send people to the field is very high.
I understand. That area is crucial.
Yes, so because you have to send people from here to different communities to be able to...
And they don't come back home.
And they don't come.
Must have been kidnapped.
Yeah.
It's very
so it's a challenge.
It's unfortunate. So,
yes.
Let me really feel you. I really thank you so much for finding time to be with us
thank
here
you,
on the program.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Actually, we need to be coming often.
Yeah. It's actually, this is an eye-opening opportunity for us.
Thank you, sir.
And we have to take opportunity of this to be able to keep on communicating to this to Nigerians and also educate people on how best possible way to even protect themselves from the risk of neglected tropical disease.
Well, we have gradually come to the end of the program with Dr. Makata Chukwumeka. He is a program manager, so to speak, National On-Call Elimination Program.
Yeah, National On-Call Elimination Program.
He's coming from the Federal Ministry of Health.
Yes.
We're alongside Mrs. Uma Imabong. She's a director, program manager with the same office. We thank you so much for being part of this program. You see me struggling. I'm not a doctor, I'm just a journalist. I'm struggling to be like you. We shall be doing that again with some other edition, some other time, so to speak. My name is Topsy Gimba, and then have a very good afternoon, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Gimba. Thank you, Nigeria.
Federal Capital Territory, take note. On Saturday, February 21st, 2026, we will go to the polls to elect 6 area council chairmen and 62 councillors. Voting starts at 8:30 a.m. in all polling units across Amak, Abaji, Bwari, Gwagala.